It had been 14 long years since the police had found any trace of Amy. The young woman's disappearance was one of the biggest mysteries of the decade, but now there were new leads. However, when her best friend received a phone call out of the blue from an unknown number, she couldn't have imagined what would happen next. Would this finally bring them closer to solving the case? Or would it lead them deeper into the darkness? Amy had been a vibrant and outgoing teenager when she vanished without a trace on her way home from school. Her parents, John and Mary, were devastated and did everything they could to keep their daughter's memory alive, putting up reward posters all over town and even offering a hefty sum of money for any information regarding her whereabouts. But as the years went by, hope began to dwindle and the case grew colder. The only person who didn't give up was Amy's best friend, Sarah. Every year on Amy's birthday, she visited her grave, leaving behind a bouquet of her favorite flowers and sharing funny memories with the girl she'd known since childhood. This year was no different. Sarah made her way to the cemetery, her heart heavy with memories and a sense of foreboding. As she laid down the flowers, a chill ran down her spine, a feeling that something was off. Sarah couldn't shake off the feeling that today was going to be different. She decided to visit Amy's favorite cafe nearby, hoping to find some solace in the familiar surroundings. As she sipped her latte, lost in thought, suddenly her phone vibrated. Startled, Sarah reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone, her hands shaking slightly. On the screen was an unfamiliar phone number with the name "Unknown" flashing below it. Hesitantly, she slid her finger across the screen and brought the phone to her ear. On the other end of the line, a voice that sounded strained and tired said, "Hello, is this Sarah?" Sarah's heart skipped a beat. Could this be a prank? She asked, her voice trembling. "Who is this? How do you know my name?" There was a pause on the other end before the voice responded. "I'm calling about Amy. I have information about her disappearance." Sarah froze. Could this be the break in the case that she and Amy's family had been waiting for all these years? Over the next few days, Sarah met with the mysterious caller several times in secret, each conversation providing new and disturbing details about Amy's disappearance. It became clear that the caller knew more than they were letting on. Sarah found herself caught in a web of deceit and danger, unsure who to trust and why the caller kept secrets about themselves. As Sarah listened intently, she couldn't help but feel a mixture of hope and skepticism. After 14 years of silence, someone was finally willing to talk about Amy's disappearance. The caller explained that they had information that could help solve the case, but they needed Sarah's help to access certain files and records related to the investigation. Sarah, desperate for answers and eager to honor her friend's memory, agreed to help. The caller, who introduced themselves only as David, claimed to have been a friend of one of the lead investigators on Amy's case. They said that they had information that could crack the case wide open, but they needed Sarah's help to access certain files and records related to the investigation. Sarah, desperate for answers and eager to honor her friend's memory, agreed to help. David led Sarah through a labyrinth of back alleys and hidden pathways, eventually arriving at a rundown warehouse on the outskirts of town. The grimy windows and graffiti-covered walls gave away the building's sinister reputation. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she followed David inside. The dim oil lamp hanging from the ceiling cast long, eerie shadows, making it difficult to see in the vast, dusty space. Boxes and old furniture lay scattered around, and cobwebs hung from the rafters, giving the place an air of neglect and decay. As they moved deeper into the warehouse, Sarah noticed a faint humming sound coming from a far corner. Curiosity piqued. She followed the noise and found David kneeling beside a large metal box filled with old documents and photographs. Relief washed over Sarah as she realized that David wasn't leading her into a trap. He truly did have information about Amy's disappearance. David explained that he had been hiding these files for years, afraid of the consequences if anyone found out he was keeping them. He confessed that he had been in love with Amy and had been harboring a deep resentment towards her family for not being able to protect her. As Sarah listened, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pity for David. His actions, while misguided, seemed to be driven by grief and a desire for justice. Determined to find answers, Sarah delved through the files, hoping to find a clue that could lead them to Amy. Among the documents, she found a faded photograph that sent a chill down her spine. It showed Amy with a man she didn't recognize standing in front of a dilapidated house. The man's face was partially obscured, but there was something about his posture and the way he was standing that seemed strangely familiar to Sarah. With newfound determination, Sarah and David left the warehouse and headed straight to the local library. Armed with the photograph, Sarah searched through yearbooks and old newspaper clippings, hoping to find a match for the man in the picture. After hours of searching, Sarah finally found a lead. The man in the photograph was identified as Mark Jenkins, a former resident of the town who had disappeared under mysterious circumstances a few years prior. Could there be a connection between Mark and Amy's disappearance? Sarah and David shared a look of excitement and trepidation. As they started digging deeper into Mark's past, they uncovered a trail of secrets and lies that led them to the darkest corners of the town's history. They discovered that Mark had been involved in a series of unsolved crimes, including a string of burglaries and the suspicious death of a local businessman. But as they pieced together the puzzle, they found something that shocked them to the core. Mark had a twin brother named Jason, who had always remained in the shadows. Could Jason be the missing piece of the puzzle? Sarah and David decided to pay a visit to Jason, hoping to get answers. What they didn't know was that their actions had been watched the entire time. In the shadows, a figure observed Sarah and David as they left the library, a sinister grin spreading across their face. Unknown to Sarah, the person she had been meeting with, David, was not who he pretended to be. He had been following her every move, watching her interact with the people she met at the library. As Sarah and David continued their investigation, the enigmatic watcher grew closer, always staying just out of sight, gathering information and formulating a plan. As the story reaches its climax, we see that the Watcher has been manipulating events from the shadows, pulling strings to ensure that Sarah's investigation would lead her down a dangerous path. Their true identity and motives are revealed, adding a shocking twist to the narrative. Meanwhile, Sarah, unaware of the danger lurking around her, follows the trail of clues, determined to uncover the truth about Amy's disappearance. She and David's investigation leads them to a secluded cabin in the woods, where they believe they will finally find the answers they seek. But upon arrival, they find the cabin abandoned, with no sign of Mark or Jason. Just as they're about to leave, Sarah notices something peculiar. There is a small, almost imperceptible symbol carved into one of the wooden beams. The symbol looks strangely familiar, and she can't help but feel that it might hold some significance. As she examines the symbol closely, she realizes that it's the same one that was on the box in the warehouse where David showed her the files. Suddenly, Sarah understands that David may not be who he pretends to be. Could he be the person responsible for Amy's disappearance all along? Just as Sarah begins to suspect David's involvement, the narrative takes a sharp turn. We learn that the person who has been observing Sarah and David is none other than Amy's father, John. Driven by his desperation to find his daughter, John has been tracking Sarah's every move, believing that she holds the key to solving the case. But his obsession has taken a dark turn, and he is now willing to do whatever it takes to keep Sarah from uncovering the truth. With the revelation of John's true intentions, the story takes an unexpected twist. Sarah finds herself in a terrifying situation, realizing that the person she and Amy's family trusted all these years might be the very one responsible for her friend's disappearance. The story ends on a suspenseful note, leaving us to wonder whether Sarah will escape John's clutches and uncover the truth, or if she'll become another victim in this twisted game. So please like the video, subscribe, share, and comment your thoughts and ideas for more interesting stories like this one. Thanks for watching.